Kieran McGiver here on Boxing Bants, and very happy to be joined with Jay Byrne. Jay, it's been a while now. Can you believe it's 2 years since I last interviewed you in Pete's gym?
Yeah,
Um, so since then, obviously, as I can see here, you're half the man that you were that day. Like, quite literally
literally.
half the man. Um,
Yeah.
in fact, you actually look younger. This fresh trim, the zone trim that you have on, and the
Mm.
shave. But yeah, it's been a while. How have you been?
In 2 years, well, the first
Well,
18 months of it wasn't great, but the last 6 months have been brilliant. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Yeah. No,
s-
everything's good, Kieran. Everything's good, mate. First of all, I'm delighted to be interviewed by you. I always keep up to date with your page, as you know. I share and comment on a lot of what you post. Really, really find your page interesting, and I like keeping up to date with that. Same with the other pages, but I obviously have a close relationship with you over the years, so I'm always keeping up to date with what's going on. More so in the last 6 months when since I've come back to the boxing game. So yeah, no, things are great. I won't dwell on the past. The last 6 months have been brilliant. I came back in January at was 220 pounds, as we all know. Came back fucking way overweight, 220 pounds after going through 3 years of hell, mental illness, head fucking gone, shattered. And I just came back to lose weight. And fell into the only thing I could do to lose weight was boxing. Started training with Pete, and Pete gave me diet plan, everything, and I just stuck to it. Stuck to it day by day. I'm still on the same diet, still eating the same foods last night, still eating the same breakfast this morning as I was in January, February, March, right up till today. It's just been a journey. People say, "Oh, it's a journey, it's a lifestyle." This has been a lifestyle. It has been a lifestyle change. My goal was to lose 50 pounds. It was never to fight, it was to lose 50 pounds. And I came back fighting, as you know, in April. I fought at 180 or 182 or 3 or whatever it was. But I had a weight cut for that in the week of the fight. I was really 186 or so. And I cut down to 178, I think it was 180 for the fight. Still very fleshy and things like that. Took a week off, 2 weeks off, and just came straight back at it. And Monday, I hit my target. My target was 50 pounds, and on Monday morning, they're gone. I hit the 50 pound mark, so I was at 170 from 220, and all week I've been bouncing off the 168, 168.5. And just today I was 167.5, and I just came home and had my protein shakes and things like that, and I'm back. I'm sitting on about 168.6 now, ahead of the weigh-in tomorrow, which is 168. No saunas, no getting up in the morning, killing myself. Just I've come home, I've had a liter of protein isolate. I've got that into me, and a protein yogurt. And it's 9 o'clock. I'll be going to bed about 10, half 10, up in the morning, head to Newcastle. And I'd say in the morning I'll wake up on weight or slightly under it, probably have another bottle of protein isolate between the morning and the weigh-in, and that's me on the scales. I'm not a super middle. We've kind of covered that over the last few months, but I do feel like I'm not fleshy anymore. I'm I'm very lean on the weight. I've built to the weight nicely. Mightn't have the height for it. I'm kind of 5'11" and a half, on in around the 6'5", 11 and a half. Most of the super welters would be 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", but doesn't really bother me. Doesn't really bother me. This is as I said, my goal was 50 pounds in January. I've done that. Everything else alongside that, or everything that's happened, that is just a bonus to me. They're actually achievements. I never classed what I've done in boxing as achievements, bar obviously the titles over the years, but these are achievements. Getting back in the ring was a big, big achievement, very emotional night for me. Jesus, tears and tears coming out of my eyes after the fight, because that was mentally just a big block to get over. And now this one tomorrow is it's the finale. Like, it's just basically set a goal, come back trying at 50 pounds, lose that weight, and I'd be really happy. I was never going to lose 50 pounds unless I boxed. I didn't think that at the time. I thought, I'll just fall off me as usual, but it didn't. It was hard graft. Now 6 months, it's a good turnaround. 52 pounds, but tomorrow night making that ring walk on the big stage with the zone. I would never have dreamt of that last year, you know what I mean? I never ever have dreamt of that in January or even 2 years ago when you interviewed me, when you see me, and I was probably sitting around 200 pounds then. Like there was never a talk of me getting into a big fight or fighting a prospect or fighting for the title or a domestic fight at that stage. You would have said to yourself, looking at me, Jay's a keep fitter now. He's not. There's no chance you'd ever see him in a ring again. It was my condition was so bad. But making the ring walk Saturday will be a special moment for me. It'll be up there with the biggest moments in my career, to be honest, just mentally because I feel that's the final that's the final thing I have to do to overcome the years of work and the years of shit that's gone on. I just feel Saturday draws a line in the sand, and from Monday I have new ventures ready to go, and I'm ready to go now into a new phase in my life.
We'll get to your fight in a second, but like I remember I interviewed you actually in 2019, and it was around the time you were fighting on Sam Canuck's show, and you lost the fight. It was actually before you lost the fight, but I remember afterwards texting you and you were kind of like, I think I'm done. And then COVID happened, and then over when shows started back, obviously with MTK going, there was like a vacuum, and there was a lot of lads domestically now starting to fight for Celtic titles, British Boxing Board of Control titles, and BUY Celtic titles. That some of them that you have held. And anytime I was at a show, you and me would always be texting kind of, and a lot of times I could sense the fire in you that you still had that fire in you, that you still had that that fighter's instinct that you would like to come back and challenge yourself, and you could see certain opponents and you were like, I'd beat him, I'd beat him, I'd beat him. And I'd say, well, so why don't you come back? And you'd be like, oh, no, no, I'm done, done. But I always felt like you would come back for at least one or two fights. Um, was you sitting on the outside watching in as well? Was that also like a driver to you coming back? Like,
Yeah, I think everyone knows like I had no choice. I had to stop boxing.
hmm,
When someone takes something from you, it'll never sit right. It's like me saying to you, now you're never gonna do another interview again with a boxer. You can't do it. You're always gonna want to do it. You're always gonna want to have that, like, well, I never finished what I started. And that was kind of it. It's the two fights I had in 2019. 2019 was the year that turned my life upside down. And I had two fights straight after that because I'd signed for Sam Kinnock just after that. I was just at the beating Steph. I was at the beating Mark Kerr for the British Celtic title. And then I was asked to defend it against Stephen Sanderson. Now, at them two times, I was in the away corner as Sam brought me in. Now, let's not call a spade a spade. Sam did not bring me in to beat Mark Kerr because Mark Kerr was his boy. And I know Sam and Mark are personal friends as well. And I upset Mark and upset Sam that night by beating him. Then Stephen Sanderson was calling for me. He was another one of Sam's fighters. I then went over, I agreed to fight with Sam. I was gone at that. That was me happy to walk away then, to be honest. And I got persuaded to fight that fight for Stephen Sanderson. That was Sam's second chance to get the title into his camp or into his, stable, as they say. And I went over and beat him as well. At that stage, Sam just signed me because it was easier to get me signed than keep going over paying me to beat his lads up, and he wasn't end up with the title. So at that stage, I was ready to go. There was plans in place. Like I was after winning the Celtic title, defending the Celtic title. Like after that, your next step is a decent title. It's probably an international title or maybe even one of the lesser European titles. You know what I mean? And that was March 2019. My life was turned upside down in March 2019. It was literally straight after. Like it was all over the paper with the belts, and then 3, 4 days later, my life was turned upside down, as everyone knows. And I'm not going to go into all that, but that's why I said to Sam, look, Sam announced me as signed and all, and I said, Sam, just get me fights. I wasn't right because my head was gone. My mental health was completely gone. And then my physical health started going with it. So I said, I'll fight because it'll make me lose weight, it'll make me lose weight. But I was juggling everything in my head at the same time. My businesses were struggling, my work was struggling, my family was massively struggling. And what did I do? I just said, right, camp, that'll keep me going. But it wouldn't because a million and one things were going on in my head at the back of it. In the first camp, with John Telford. I think it was John Telford I fought first, yeah. In that fight, this is gospel. Sam knows. Sam has the pictures. He has the reports. I was doing plyometrics the week of the fight, in the gym with Declan Senior, and I was doing a small little box jump. It was like a fucking 12-inch box jump or 16-inch box jump, and I just hopped up on one foot and I clipped the box and I went down and I broke my ankle. Now, the gobshite I was back then, my head was just, I have to fight, I have to fight, I have to fight. It's mentally, I have to shut it out, I have to fight. So I went to the hospital, got an X-ray. They said there was ligament damage and it wasn't broken, blah, blah, blah. They didn't see any breaks on it. The ankle was that, so it's, what did I do? That was at like 7 o'clock on a Tuesday evening, I think it was, if I remember correctly. The Wednesday morning, I went straight back to the gym, jumped on a spinning bike because I had to make weight that weekend. That was my mentality. Now, my ankle was that size, I couldn't walk. But I hobbled into the gym, done that, went to dry needling, went to a fella, he got the swelling down as much as he could. We got it all down. I went, weighed in, couldn't barely get my foot into the boot, got into the ring, fought John Telford, lost by a point. He's from Manchester, it was in Manchester, and it was at middleweight. So I stepped up away, fought him with a broken ankle, and I lost by a point in his hometown. Right? So although my head was fucked, I had a broken ankle, I was still at a half decent level at that stage because I was just off the back of them 2 wins. My career was pushing forward, and that was that. Then because a man who run the show, Mike Galez, I think his name was, he was running the show. He took a bit of a shine to me that night. I got chatting to him. He said, I want you back in December, I think it was. I was like, yeah, no bother. I said, get this ankle sorted. I went to the hospital when I come home on the Monday and I actually had a break and a fracture in my ankle. I was off my foot for fucking 6 or 8 weeks. It was, I said, how'd you not see this the other night? When I was up here, they said, oh, it was probably too much swelling and whatever. Now, I didn't tell them I fought, so I could have damaged them more fighting or whatever. So that was the first fight. So I was no condition to fight that time, but mentally I thought, oh, I had to fight, I had to fight. So I shouldn't have fought. So that was a loss and a very close loss that it shouldn't be on my record because I should not have fought. I shouldn't have been allowed to fight. But Sam was doing me a favour because he knew mentally I needed this. And he was probably worried, if I pull this fight in Jay, something bad could happen to Jay. I could do something or something. I don't know. But I shouldn't have been allowed to fight. So got my ankle healed, paired, eating as usual, drinking as usual. Depression was getting worse and worse. There was a lot more going on and it was getting worse and worse. Then the Ahmed Rossi fight came up. 7-0, Swedish lad. Looked at him. I said, I'll beat him all day long. And I put in back to camp with Echo, back into training again, started cutting the weight. I was 190 pounds, I think, starting that camp. And I had to be 150 or 148, no, 154, 155 or something like that. So again, a massive weight loss. I had to go 180, 185, I think it was. I'd lose 30 pounds or something. Got into camp, done all that. Coming up to the fight, about 2 weeks before the fight, I wasn't well. I was very weak and I kept like not collapsing, but I kept like kind of having to stop and my eyes were gone and I felt really weak. And I was like, this is fucking weird. Like, I don't know what was up with me. But I just thought maybe I was overdoing it because I was fucking training stupidly too much and I wasn't eating an awful lot and all that. So I said, I just put it down to that. What do I do? We'll battle through. If I fight next week, I have to fight, or 2 weeks I have to fight. And went to the toilet that night and I was pissing massive amounts of blood, bad amounts of blood. Like it was pure blood. It wasn't like streaks of blood, it was pure blood. And I kind of was like, what the fuck? The gobshite goes on Google and you see all this and it was like training hard, pissing blood. I was like, overtraining. I was like, grand, lovely, it's
Do
only
you think it was
overtraining. And that
did
got
you think it
worse
was
and worse and worse.
did you think it was rhabdomyolysis like at the time? The oh
Didn't I thought it was overtraining. I was just a tick. I just Googled it. I
yeah,
training hard and pissing blood, and it just come up
because
over. This can happen from overtraining.
apparently in certain sports that overtrain rhabdomyolysis, it's like that's what happens. They basically piss blood
Right?
like there's
Yeah.
a yeah, but
That's what I thought it was.
yeah.
So I was like, it's going to be all right. So I wasn't saying that to anyone. And then I was going to it, and my missus caught it, and I said to her like, it's like that a few days. She's like, you don't get that checked. Like she said, that's not fucking right. Like, so I was like, So she forced me to go to the doctor. I went to the doctor. Doctor done checks, done this, checked my kidneys, checked everything. No. Doctor was like, no, this isn't right. It's not from overtraining. Your hydration levels are good and all that stuff. She checked all them. Said, no. I said, yeah, no, my hydration levels are good. I said, I always keep them at about 60%. I said, I measured them myself. Like, so she was a bit worried about it. Sent to hospital. But this was a week then. This was the Friday before the Friday weigh-in. So it was exactly 7 days from the weigh-in. And I was still training full time. Trained that morning. It was like, fuck this shit, man. Straight to it was in Michael's hospital. I had to go to the doctor now. Then they referred me to Michael's hospital. I had to go into Michael's hospital. I had to get a camera put up the front. So I'll let you do the maths on that to check. They were checking me for cancer. They went right in with the camera the week before. It was very fucking painful, very stressful. Awake now said that there was nothing. I was in fucking agony, man. Getting that done to check for all that. Said to the doctor, he said, "Look, we have a fight next week. Am I all right to fight?" And he just looked at me and goes, "Are you fucking mad?" Like he said, "There's not a chance you'll be fighting." I said, "Ah, mate, I have to fight. Is it a big fight?" I said, "Ah, huge, yeah, I have to fight." Like he was like, "Well, look, I can't tell you not to fight." He says, "But I can advise you strongly not to." Or, what did I do? Just ignored him, straight out ignored him, waiting for results and all. So that was going through my head then as well because they were saying about I can't remember what cancer it was. I can't even remember what it was. They were testing me for some cancer because they checked everything else and nothing else was adding up. So this is what they're testing me for. So I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And sure, again, that was in my head. The whole thing of what was going on in my life that was pretty well broadcasted going on in my head. We were just everything was in turmoil. But for me, I had to fight because that kept me occupied. Not thinking what was going on with my wife and my kids and everything else around me. But for me, it was just focus on the fight. And I was like, absolutely fucking banjoed. Coming up to the fight, the week of the fight, I actually did collapse on the Wednesday, I think it was. I was taught, Sam knows everything because I sent Sam everything. I sent him in, go and get this test done, that test done. And he just said, let me know if you're all right, you're not, Jay. Just pull. No, 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 I'll be all right, I'll be all right, I'll be all right. Went over, weighed in, and I got into the ring. I remember in the dressing room I done around the pads, and I said to Deco, I said, I'm absolutely drained. I said, I have no energy whatsoever. And he said, ah, you'll be all right. He said, just loosen up. And he gave me a Lucas head, I think it was. I was like, yeah, yeah. Walked to the ring. Rossi came out, banged him a right hand. He fell back against the ropes. I was like, I'm going to finish this lad. Threw everything at him to finish him. Didn't get him out. And I can't remember. It's the only fight. You asked me, Clip, you asked me anything about a fight I've had. Name any opponent. I can tell you something about the fight. I can't tell you anything from that opening round when I tried to get him out there at the start because I thought I had him to the end of the fight. The only thing I can remember is getting through the ropes and my wife waiting there. And she never waited at the end. She always would be there because she looked worried from me getting out of the ring. And I just looked at her and now we all know me, oh Jay going tough lad, no, you fight anybody, all that. I said to her that night, I'll never get in the boxing ring again. And she looked at me and says, thank you. And that was it. And that to me was like I was done then because I just I didn't like the fight. I didn't get physically hurt or I didn't like the fight. I couldn't remember it. I still don't remember of it. And it was down to what was going on at that time meant with me with the health things and the tests and all that going on at the time. And look, I got the all clear and all, but like get a camera shoved up you the week before a fight and collapsing and being weak as a kitten and not being able to train it properly and even doing a warm up and saying, oh, I felt like jelly in my whole body. Do you know, like you just feel like jelly. I felt weak as a kitten going to the ring. And after that, I just said, I'm never doing this again. But it wasn't the boxing, it was me health at the time. And that was probably when I said to you, I'm done, I'm done. Looking back at it over the last few months, I was just saying, like not even the last few months, last year, like I was watching, going, fucking hell, man. I always look back, don't look at the start of it because everyone, you start somewhere and you work your way up and, you know, I've always looked at like where I was at that time, at the time when I beat Kerr, when I beat Sanderson. That's the part of my career I look at and go, that's when I was actually progressing and looking good. I was actually looking decent. I had to, so I don't have the Mark Kerr fight to watch back, but anyone that was at that fight said it was my best ever boxing display. I went in with a game plan to outbox him and I outboxed him. And the judges card showed that I outboxed him. And like you're talking about Jay Byrne outboxing someone, he doesn't do that. I go in, I outfight people, or have a war with someone. But I didn't know it, then I outboxed him. And at that stage of my career, I was ready to go. I felt there was a good opportunity for me to push on to bigger and better things. Whether I would have gone anywhere, who knows? But I just always felt like I was watching these domestic fights and gosh, I would have beat him. Well, I always look and say I would have beat him, but I would have beat him when I was at that stage of my career. That's when I look at it. I always go, I would have beat him then. Now, I still think it's bad. It's not just shy talk around, but I genuinely do still think on domestic level. Now I'm talking domestic level. I'm not talking fucking Jason Quigley, Paddy Dunn, then because to me them lads are past domestic level. But I still believe at domestic level I would be. I still think I'm a better. I think as good as anyone on domestic level at this moment. I still think I could beat anyone in or around me weight at domestic level. There's not one person that I would look at and go, nah, I would be into fighting him now. You know, there's no one, like, you know what I mean? There's nothing there that I would go, nah, I wouldn't fight him. He's OGs, he looks dodgy, that lad. I wouldn't be into fighting him. I'd fight any of them. And it's not just a hard man fighting anyone thing, but I still do look at it like that. That's why I took this fight. Actually, I'm really interested in this fight. I'd love if it was at middleweight or light middle when I was at that weight, because I'd really be gauging myself. Obviously, going up a couple of weights for this one, that could be something that might go against me. It could be just physically bigger, but I still think I'm looking forward to this. And like, people are probably saying, "Ah, he's just taking a payday," but so what your money you get for these fights isn't a payday when you have a salary, and that, if you're a boxer and you're crying out for a few quid, yeah, I'd understand it. But this is a hobby to me, and any money I get from boxing is a bonus. It's a holiday or something for the family. I think I can beat this lad tomorrow or Saturday. Saturday, yeah. I think I can beat him. I hope I can beat him. Obviously I want to win the fight, but I'd love to get in and just show what I've learned off Pete as well in the last 6 months. And look, I'm not a fucking superstar. I'm not a top ranked fucking fighter. I'm not saying I'm now a world beater, but I genuinely think that what I've learned off Pete in the last 6 months, along with where I was at before March 2019, putting the two of them together, I do believe that I'm definitely a creditable boxer now. I reckon I think I have different areas of the sport covered now in the ring. Like, I feel I can box. I feel I can fight cleverly. I feel there's a lot more to my game now than the good old fashioned warrior that just comes forward and has a boxing match.
One thing I've noticed over the last probably year or so, or 2 years since I've been chatting to you, to change in your mentality towards being a boxer. For instance, I remember when you did the interview with my friend Paul about your life, Paul Neal on his Neil Not Standing podcast, and you said how boxing for you at the time in 2018, 2017, around that time when you were fighting on Sky shows, it was very much an ego thing. You loved the whole, and as many people would be in that situation, loved the whole fact of being the lad fighting on Sky, people, everyone knowing you, going out in the lash, and people like rubbing his shoulders with you,
Mm.
seeing how, and you said how self-absorbed and selfish you became in that time, and this time it seems very, very different. Your attitude is very different, and boxing isn't really that important to you in the grand scheme of things. It's more just to prove a point to yourself, but you're not really arsed if you ever fought on TV ever again, kind of thing. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, there was never a plan to fight. I've been asked to fight a Matchroom a couple of times. I was asked to fight now in a couple of weeks on the next gen card. I was asked to fight last week on a card for Matchroom. No interest. I have no interest in fighting on the TV. I never, no, sorry, I have no interest in fighting against lads I don't feel I have a hope against or I don't have a chance against. Whereas back in the day, I didn't even ask the opponents now. It was like, yeah, to me, it was, at first it wasn't an ego thing. It was more, Jesus, me getting a chance to fight in Sky Sports. It's unbelievable. Like, because where I'd come from boxing wise, I was like, this is fucking amazing. But then it was just as it came, and then you were going out after, and everyone was coming up to you and coming. I wasn't used to that. You know what I mean? I was just an everyday lad. I was an electrician. His kids. It's quite a fella. Was well known in the area and that. But when it came to that, it just kind of blew up a bit. And I didn't know. I didn't really deal with it properly. Like, you know what I mean? I kind of taught people, my friends that weren't my friends, and they were all that a lot of people get down. You know what I mean? I didn't get involved in drugs or any of that crap or go get addicted to drinking every weekend or anything like that. It was just a lot of people, a lot of attention and all that stuff. And I kind of was taking that attention rather than the attention of the people that were closest to me. And I pushed them away rather than pushing the others that were away from me that weren't really friends. And that was kind of where it went wrong for me. But this time, no, I never thought I'd get back on the telly. I had no plans on going back on the telly. I never plans on fighting. The comeback fight was the comeback fight. And to be honest with you, after the comeback fight, I would have probably been satisfied to go. Just the fact that Craig McCarthy called me to the ring for the Irish title and accepted that. I presumed that was the Irish title made. I was like, right, I'm sticking at this. I'm going to go and win that Irish title. So I got a bit of a grip between my teeth then. And then when that was refused by the BOI, he said I need a few more fights. But I hadn't got the time to have them few more fights. Like, we're in July now. There's no shows in Dublin, Ireland till September, maybe. So that would be one. Is there going to be two or three more before Christmas? No. And I promised my wife when I went back, I need to do this from my head, but I will not be boxing in 2024. This is 1 year. Take what we can. Two, maybe three fights. The BUI said I needed two or three fights before they'd sanction me for the title. So that was a title out the window. Did it hurt me? Yeah, I felt I should have got a different look. Everyone's entitled to opinions. I felt I was a worthy opponent for it, and I still do. But was I having two, three more fights? No, I'm not doing two, three more fights. So when this fight came across, I just looked at the opponent. I always look at the opponent, and I looked at the opponent and went, oh, and a few things fell into place, and the fight was put back, and it worked perfect for my time scale and all. And I felt I have a chance of beating this. Like, I actually have a good chance, and it's not like an 80-20 chance. I actually believe if I turn up the best Jay Byrne on the night, and he turns up the way he has in his last couple of fights, if he turns up his last fight was his best performance. If he turns up his last performance, and I turn up the best Jay Byrne, I feel there's definitely a chance I beat him. I think if the best me turns up on the night, I have a great opportunity to beat this lad. It's not if I get lucky. I feel if I turn up at the best I can turn up, um, to box him, say of his last performance, I feel I beat him. That's being straightly honest with you. So that's why I accepted the fight. This fight TV, nothing's changed. I'm in the same routine I was in for the last fight, and it's still the exact same. I don't care about the outside. I don't care. I really appreciate attention, people, coming and wishing you well and all that stuff. And I really, really appreciate it after where I was and all that. I really do. A lot of people have been on wishing me well, sending me messages of look, commenting on things and all. And it really does. It touches me heart. A lot of people comment, and there's a lot of people that support me through the last few years when I wasn't boxing as well. Used to text me how you're keeping well, love to see you back in the ring, all the stuff. And they're the same people that are texting me now. So I really do appreciate it. And you were one care on that as well, that were always kept in touch with me through them times. And that's why I have so much respect for yourself. So I'm not getting caught in a whirlwind of attention. I don't give a shit about attention. Don't give a shit about followers. Don't care about anything like that. Don't get me wrong, it's great. It's nice, lovely, but means nothing to me. Means absolutely nothing to me. I have a routine now, my family routine, and that is first priority. And that's in a nutshell.
So, Oliver Zaren, some Irish people would actually know him from a few years ago when he was an amateur. He used to be a heavy boy. He used to be a super heavyweight. He fought Thomas Carty. He actually beat Thomas Carty. I think Thomas Carty beat him though again after that. But yeah. So he's in difference the two years. He's a guy that when he turned pro, he lost a lot of weight to come down and start campaigning at super middle, and you're coming back. You're dropping your pounds, but you would have been in a lower weight before. Um, you watching him over the last few weeks or whatever it is in the lead up to this, like I imagine that just not only you, but I'm sure P has seen plenty of holes in him to beat him.
Yeah, well, one thing we noticed from him is he does not like pressure at all. It was very hard. I didn't know that he was super heavy, but I had a feeling because I looked at some of his amateurs. Like, he has up on it that he has. That answers me question. I mean, that answers where I was actually talking to someone earlier on, but he has on his Instagram that he's six national titles. But sure, I was looking at his box rec. His box rec doesn't show any amateur titles. It shows that he was beating the semi final of the championships. But then I said, unless he got walkovers at a really heavy weight or something like that in his country, because I noticed that he weighed in at like 196, and I was like, fucking 196, what the hell? So yeah, he's obviously coming down in the weight. I don't know if he does the weight good or if there's something going on there, because he was at 6 rounds a few fights ago and he's dropped back to four. Now, I watched his last fight and it looks like he tires after about 2 rounds. He looked breathing very, very heavy after 2 rounds. And that's coming forward against in my opinion, a low level journeyman, a journeyman that had been stopped 4 times in out of six. He came to the UK 6 times and was stopped 4 times. And Zaren was breathing heavy after 2 rounds and he hadn't even been hit by the lad. He was just coming forward. I don't know if you know, Kieran, but when you're coming forward as a boxer in the ring, you use a lot of energy. It's when you're on the back foot or someone's constantly pressuring you, is when your heart rate goes through the roof. To me, his heart rate was very high after 2 rounds. I was kind of looking at that going, how is he breathing so heavy? And then I was kind of putting two and two together and going, maybe he's not conditioned right for 6 rounds. And that's why they pulled it back to 4 rounds. Because air fight was originally 6 rounds. And in the bookies, it's 6 rounds. And on box rec, it's 6 rounds. But it was changed back to 4 rounds. And that was their doing, not mine. So I don't know. Maybe is he struggling? Has he come down too low or something? I don't know. My other worry would be he was super heavy. He's come down to super middle, and touch wood, doesn't look like he has a punch. Like that would be worrying me as well. Like someone coming out is like super heavy should be fucking banging out super middle journeyman. In my opinion, I don't know. Like, but so yeah, look, I don't think he likes to be hit. Not many like to be hit. I don't mind being hit. Some fighters like to take a punch to give a punch kind of thing. I've kind of got out of that mentality, but I don't mind being hit. To me, I've scoured back and I've looked at a bit of his sparring videos through a couple of other pages I found on, and anyone that seems to put pressure on, he kind of goes backwards. He drops his hand and goes backwards, like to get out of the way. I'm planning on hitting him, of course. Yeah, look, I, I don't think he's a superstar. Even if he had 6 national titles in Denmark, Denmark wouldn't have the greatest pedigree of amateurs. Um, Couple of weary was looking at going, geez, he is a big lump of a fucking lad. Like looking at a video, his fight, he's a big lump of lad, but I don't think he's much bigger than what Felix Cash was. I don't think he's technically as gifted as Felix Cash was. And I feel I'm a lot better now than I was when I fought Felix Cash. I've had 2 different coaches since then. I've been trained a lot more boxing since then. So I feel I've a lot more of my armour since the Felix Cash fight. And I don't think this lad is as good as Felix Cash. I'm only saying Felix Cash because of the size comparison. So yeah, that's why like people say like why do you think you can beat him? I feel like if I turn up, definitely, I definitely match his boxing, but I definitely match his fight. He looks like he comes forward, he throws single shots, and then he gets a bit happy. Your man will stand there with his hands up, and he's still throwing single shots. And then the last round, I think maybe his corner said to him, try to get him out there, and he put 2s and 3s together, and he did look good, but I'd look good as well if a lad was walking around with his hands up like that, wanting to get out of the ring. A man looked drained, didn't want to be there. But otherwise, it's single shots, and if a man came forward, he kind of jumped back with his hand in the air. I think a lot of feinting on your feet, on my feet, a lot of feinting. Feinting will cause him to go back, and if I can get him back and put it on him, he's never been hit. He's never been in a war, never been in. I don't know. I'm not saying oh, going to war because I don't like that shit. But I feel if I can feint and keep feinting him and making him think and making him go back, if I can get him back into corners and back into ropes and get inside and land, I would be at my strongest on the inside. Same in camping, sparring, I was always strongest when I was on the inside. So that's the kind of stuff I'm going to be aiming for. I'm going to look to push him back and get him on the back foot. If I get him on the back foot, his breathing will go heavier than going forward than when he's coming forward against a journeyman. I feel if I can get him on the back foot, tire him, get him back against the ropes into corners, and get to work on him on the inside. I do believe my inside game is very good at the minute. But if it becomes a boxing match, I have been trained very well and well versed on what he does, what kind of punches he throws. Again, he doesn't throw punches and bunches. He throws single shot to the body, stab jab to the body. He throws a 1-2. He throws a jab. I've been working on, slipping and counter punching them and stuff like that. So yeah, look, again, I have to turn up. I have to turn up, and when I turn up, I have to do what I was coached. And if that doesn't work, I have to in my head change my game plan in the ring. And it's only 4 rounds, so it's going to be quick. I'm fit. I'm very fit. I definitely could do 8 rounds. So I'm hoping I can start fast and go out and push him back straight away. Maybe give him a shock because at the end of the day, what videos is he going to be watching to me 2, 3 years, 4 years ago? Totally, totally different fighter. Much happier than myself, much better, much sharper mentally, and I'm much better on my feet. So
Yeah, Jay Byrne 6-1 in Paddy Power. Get
you're
a
saying that, yeah.
lump of money on it. How I want to speak about ending this is there's scheduled to be 2 shows in Dublin, and surely because of how difficult it has been over the last few years for shows to happen down south and the absence of them for such a long time, and you being living in Bray and um, being someone who hasn't fought in the Republic since 2018, you must party in this in terms of nostalgia must feel like you want to end your career just with a fight in Dublin, maybe. No?
No, no, maybe last month, 3 months ago, I might have thought like that, but how better to go out? Okay, I'm not thinking of losing, but that would be the only thing that could upset me on Saturday, to be honest. But it's not going to upset me for long. How better to go out, Kieran, walking out on a big screen, walking out to a nice big arena to say goodbye on the biggest stage, in my opinion, the Zone, walking out to a half full stadium or a fucking, an empty stadium we were on earlier or whatever, it doesn't entertain me. I've done it, I've been there, I've done it. I know I've done these ones before and that, but from where I was to where I'm going to be on Saturday, even if it's an empty arena, to walk out under them lights and just look around and go, oh, yes. To me, I'll feel like I'll have achieved something again, even though it's only a 4 round fight. This, to me, ranks higher than all the other fights that I've taken, the other Sky Sports fights. And all this one just, to me, has much more sentimental value to me. So going back fighting in Dublin and in a half full stadium or an empty stadium against a journeyman of some sort, or there's no interest, no, absolutely no interest. It's it's not something that tickles me fancy anymore. I feel I've done it all. I feel I've done it all. I've been around. I'm satisfied now. I can't wait to wait. I can't wait to make the ring walk on Saturday. That to me is my sense of achievement. Done. I've gone to the darkest place. I've been to in my opinion, the top where I ever thought I'd get to, winning me titles. I went and done the Sky Sports. I've done the BT Sports, the Box Nation. I've travelled around. I've took fights I shouldn't have took. Came back, and this is a totally different feeling. I'm much more excited. I never really got excited for my old fights because it was just rolling with the fights. It was every couple of months. You look at my box rec, 2016, 17, I was just box, 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 box. I was just fighting all the time. Every few months I was fighting. I was in camp every couple of months. I was back in the camp. I was going. I was going. I was just rolled at the punches. Did I enjoy it? Of course, yeah. I enjoyed the stadiums and the arenas, and I enjoyed the thing. As I said, I got a bit caught up in the fame or such thing, you could say. But I've done all that. I only accepted this because I do feel I can beat him. And I was like, wow, where I was this time last year. This time last year, actually, I was about to sign for my house. I was a week away from getting me a new house. And I was sitting at about 210 pounds, 200 pounds. Hadn't boxed in a couple of years, had no fitness whatsoever. And boxing was never even thought about. I was gave away all my boxing gear. I'd given away everything. I had no intentions of boxing. He torn it forward a year. I own my house. My personal issues are all being resolved. I'm back. I'm 52 pounds lighter. I've had a little comeback fight, a nice home fight in Ireland. Now I'm going to walk out all the bright lights on Saturday night again. If I could be it could be an empty arena when I'm doing it, but I don't care. I've 27 people going over. We've a nice after party booked, reserved. They're all my closest friends who have been there for me over the years, lads who I grew up with from 2, 3, 4 years of age, them and their wives. My brother's gonna be back in my corner Saturday. He hadn't been in my corner for the last few, but he's back in my corner as well on Saturday, part of my team. There's a young lad I'm actually working with at the minute, who went through he went into a bit of a bad headspace there over the last year. Fantastic amateur, this kid. Piled on the weight again, put on 50 pounds, 55 pounds. And I've been working with him in the background there now for the last 3, 4 months. 3 months, I think it is. And he's down 30 pounds now. And I have him part of my background team because I want to give him the experience of being in the back area and all. To me, it might sound stupid, Kieran, but this is the passing of the guard on Saturday, in my opinion. My brother's back. My brother started back training. He's back training now. He's training MP. He was talking about getting back into the boxing. He's going down the same route as myself. Going to do a bit of amateur, but he's going to do a bit of semi-pro stuff over in the UK. I've contacted the old semi-pro promoter who was like an uncle to me. My brother's going back over there towards the last quarter of the year to have a fight. Another young lad who I trained for 5 or 6 years, he's actually working for me now and he's fighting on it. So it's starting, and obviously young Matthew, who I'm working with now as well, and helping him with his weight and his nutrition and his training now, training him as well as not boxing training. I'm doing all his cardio and fitness training and his food, nutrition. I look at his food every day and I give him his diets and I weigh him every Saturday, do his body fats and all. So they're all now about to step into my shoes, and that's why Saturday to me, I have the both of the young lads with me on Saturday. They're going to be in the back. They're going to take in all the experience. They're going to come ringside with me. And at that stage, then I'll be gladly saying to them, right, I'll do it all again, but I'll do it with you, you know.
Um, Sorry, actually forgot to ask you. So the fight, even though it's a 4 rounder, it is on the zone broadcast. Do you have any idea how high up in the bill it'll be at all?
No, see, I don't have any idea. I don't know. I'm telling people between 5 and 6. I think it's going to be on early before. It's a big card. There's like 12 people on it. Oh, 12, 12 fights on it. There's some decent fights and decent fighters on it. Man, Ashfaq's on it. Josh Kelly, obviously, Troy Williamson. He's a women's world title or fight or something like that on it as well. So I don't see it being too high up the card unless it's a live float or something. Um, Obviously, I'm the away fighter, so I don't know what to know. I have to say, Wazaman have been the best people I've ever dealt with. Like, I mean, my God, they are on the ball. They are brilliant, brilliant to deal with. Like, everything is well detailed, well documented. I have had to fill out the whole TV schedule form. I have to fill out all that, with everything you're wearing, your team, your corner, all that stuff. I've had to fill out all the ring entrance and date of birth, me reach, me height, all that stuff I've had to fill out and send over. That you only really do that usually when you are on the TV. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm hoping to find out tomorrow at the weigh-in because I've got bombarded with texts about it. So I don't know. The earlier the better.
Well, if you stick the nut in at the weigh-in, maybe you might get put on the TV.
No, that's not me. You know that. Come on. I'm wishing Oliver the best of luck.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, look, I'm looking forward to it getting on again. It's like that's what I'm saying. You're saying about Dublin cards. You're not like the bow out in Dublin. No disrespect to the Dublin cards because I'll be back involved very soon in boxing on that level. So I'm not bad mounting shows in Dublin or anything like that. But you know, you're going to a big public fucking way out, away in. You get like it's a big deal. There's a lot of people there. Then you're going to arena to walk out to a 4 or 5 thousand capacity arena, big lights, all the fucking things, the TV. To go from that back down to fighting on a small card in Dublin where I'm not going to be main event because obviously they're not sanctioning for an Irish title. So, well, what? Fight at fucking 6 o'clock in front of 150, 200 people in the stadium. That's just gonna that's just gonna make me want to go back onto the big stage. You know what I mean? It's gonna want me make me finish somewhere bigger or something. So no, this is definitely for me, in my opinion, it would have to be something really tasty. I even said it to the wife. It would have to be next fight your sanctioned Irish title at middleweight against someone that I get to even pick an opponent or someone that it's not just you're away corner again against such and such. It would have to be something like that. But again, it's not going to happen. And even that, I don't know if that will do it for me. At this stage, I kind of fucking so my belts are out, my bar out, my back garden that I built last year, just screwed onto the wall. Sure, I don't even see them. Don't look at them. You know what I mean? I've pictures to show I lifted them, but sure, what did they do? They don't mean that to you in a return. It's great to look back on in years to come and say I won this and I won that, but hopefully many more young lads coming through will win them and more. So, you know.
Right. Well, I think that's everything, Jay. But I really appreciate your time. It was good to talk to you again, and I'm uh, I'm looking forward to watching your fight on Saturday. And regardless of what happens, yeah, I'm happy to see you back and in good shape and good health, mentally and physically. So yeah, thanks very
Yeah,
much.
again, I just hope I turn up on Saturday. That's the one. That'll be a regret if Saturday ends and I just put in a shitty performance and I don't do anything I done in the gym. That'll annoy me. That'll be the only thing that can really annoy me on Saturday. I just want to turn up and give the best. I want to turn up the best J Bone possible on Saturday. That's all I want. That's all I want on Saturday. I want to just everything to go well, get in the ring and turn up the best I possibly can turn up. And if he turns up better, he turns up better. That's sport. But if I turn up the best I can be and perform to my best, I'm confident I beat him. I don't feel I have to be 1,000,000% on it to beat him. I feel once I'm at it, I feel I have a great chance of beating him. And I just want to turn up at my best and go out with putting in maybe a career best performance. And that's all I want to do. I want to do that, and I want to just thank everybody then that's been around me and helped me and got me to the position I'm in. And that's Saturday. But we'll be talking early next week because I have something that's going to need you. So I will be talking. I'm not going on. Saturday is one thing, and Monday is a total new venture, which will be starting on Monday very soon.
All right. Well, excited to hear. Thanks very much, Jay, and all the
Thanks,
best.
Karen. Thank you very much as always.